one of my files got corrupted. I sincerely apologize to my viewers if this vlog feels incomplete. It's really frustrating. What is up guys, Fahan here, and today I'm going to explore a very restricted and unique place, Old Changi Hospital. I've been given permission by one of the SLA officers to actually record for the vlog, and I'm very happy at the opportunity and permission. So I'm gonna try my best to record everything as much as possible for your viewing pleasure, of course. Oh, and you're not allowed to say any bad things about this place. This guided tour is organized by Jerome Lim, the vlogger who is running the long and winding road, one of Singapore's best, probably the best historic blocks out there, and in conjunction with SLA, of course, the Singapore Land Authority, and they've organized this a guided tour for us. And as you can see, there's a lot of people right now. We were informed that actually the tour itself, to register, it was quickly filled up in minutes. So yeah, definitely the demand is high.
Block 161. This is actually the newest building in the complex, built in 1962. And up there we have Block 37. So that was built in 1935. Barrack block design from the end of the 20s into the early 30s. You will notice the structure. Look at this building again. It's a very typical barrack block, right? Minus the inside. But one of the features of the British colonial architecture at the time were to give buildings very high ceilings. Barrack block designs, they insisted on having 14 feet high ceilings for ventilation purposes, to keep buildings cool, right? Another thing you will notice is verandas, corridors, right, on the outside of the living spaces. So the living spaces were inside. You had corridors, basically to insulate the living spaces from the tropical heat outside. So you must remember, these guys coming over from the UK, right? It's a much cooler place than here. And Singapore, hot, humid, the tropical environment is hot, humid. It was probably quite uncomfortable for them. So I think one of the things that this actually shows an advance in the military barrack design. So this happened in the 20s, 30s, right? This is actually the barrack block design from the 20s. So it was specified that verandas 10 feet wide, ceilings 14 feet high, right? And you look inside, it should be a barrack room with 40 men. And in this case, you will see this kind of barrack buildings also in Gilman today, Gilman Barracks. Right? So this was actually originally built as a barrack block. It was used as such by the Royal Engineers up to the war. The engineers were part of this whole contingent of British forces that were being based here in the 1930s. Right? Those days, naval power was the thing. Air power was, nobody called air power, right, in the 30s. So the British were one of the, big navies in the world. Japan was, building up their naval base, so they decided to put a naval base in Singapore in the north here, right? And Changi, right, was the entrance to that naval base, the sea entrance. So they decided to put guns here to protect the naval base. This actually, the money for these guns was donated by Sultan of Johor. So that's why they were called the Johor Battery. I think there's a lot of speculation, about this being a hospital during the war, right? As a result, that people talk about torture, about Japanese atrocities here, which is untrue. The main hospital then, in 1936, British announced plans to build Alexandria Hospital. Right? That was the main hospital. It took over from Tanglin Hospital. Yeah. So Tanglin had a military hospital, right? And there was no such hospital here. Right? The hospital only came after the war. 3 days of the occupation, right? As you know, something like 50,000 men were marched across the island. All the British and the Allied forces will march across the island, put in Changi, right? And they were confined here. So there were some British troops from the Singapore contingent that were based here. They were put here. Actually, Changi was evacuated on the 12th of February. So this whole place was empty when Singapore fell. And the British actually, you saw the picture of the big guns. The British actually spiked the guns, destroyed them, so they wouldn't fall into Japanese hands. Evacuated the whole area on the night of the 12th of February, just roughly 2-3 days before the fall of Singapore. I think it's more than they could cope with, so they decided to just confine them, right, without really guarding them. So eventually they put barbed wire around the whole perimeter. So the British POWs then were actually allowed to roam this whole place freely. And I think if you read accounts of them, and many accounts of them, they talk about this as paradise compared to the experience later, because many of them, I think you've heard about the Siamese-Burma Railway, like the Japanese forced many of the POWs to work on, right? That was hell. So this was heaven compared to them. So they were confined here roughly until this place closed sometime in early 1943, or May 1943, as a POW camp. Japanese took over. Right? Why they took over? Because they had intention to build an airfield. So again, we associate Changi with Air Force, with the RAF before that, right? Now with the SAS. So they actually built. They used POW labor. They started work in September 43. Right? Put in this airstrip. Right? So it was more an airstrip, not paved. Upon the British return, they found all these buildings in very good condition, right? And then they found the airfield, and they decided to make a perfect spot for landing bombers, heavy aircraft, right? And originally, the plan was to develop Changi into a civil airport as well, right? So we could have had Changi Airport much earlier. In setting up RAF, the RAF station at Changi, they decided to build a hospital here. So the hospital was named RAF Hospital Changi, or RAF Changi Hospital. So you remember the original buildings were block 24 and block 37 and nothing in between. So to correspond between the two blocks, the medical staff had to climb up a long flight of steps. I think remember correctly, something like 80 something steps, 80 steps. Yeah. Good exercise. Okay. Something that we're doing now. So, but one of the things that this new block provided, built in 1962, was correspondence between the two separated buildings of the original hospital. But unlike today, where we are climbing up the steps, there were elevators, the lifts that were installed. So you could actually take the lift up. So that made a world of difference. This building also housed the main wards when it was built. The male wards were on the two upper floors, and the female wards on the 2 lower floors. So the male wards, if you look here, this is the bathroom facilities. Blue tiles. Actually, if you go below Japan, you will notice pink tiles. The day is supposed to be moving. Now we're actually at block 37. So in the latter years, block 37 was used more as an administrative building. In the British days, it was actually where the A&E reception was here, not here. So ambulances came up right up here. Right? Again, as you walk through to the outside, on your right, this would be where 2 surgical theatres were. So again, if you notice the number at the top of the building, 1935. So reminder, this was 1935. It was built as a so-called hospital, right? But it probably was used more as a medical center, sick bay. Go up to the next level. Down below there's actually an X-ray room. In 47, that's when they decided to set the hospital up.
What do you plan to do with this area?
This whole Greater Changi area, it's actually, the plans are to develop it as a recreational space. But there's no specific plans for these buildings that you see here today.
What's your name, madam?
Anne.
And so what is your association with this hospital?
My father was the administrator, so he was the administrator, RAF. He was an RAF flight lieutenant when he was here. And his office was just at the front of the hospital. The first time I've been back since 1962.
Oh wow, it's very long. So
it's
you've been
a
here
long
for
time.
3 years, right?
We were here for 3 years and lived out near Changi Jail.
I see. So does this bring back a lot of memories
Yes,
for you?
it certainly does. Yeah, it's quite emotional when you first saw it.
I'm here with Jerome Lim, the famous blogger of the Long and Winding Road. Mr. Jerome, what motivated you to start a blog about documenting Singapore's historical places?
Okay, I think one of the things we find in Singapore is places disappear, and places disappear together with the stories in them. So I think the stories are very important because they help, us connect with the space. And I think it's unfortunate that many places go without stories being documented, or what the spaces we use as being documented. So that's one of my primary motivations.
I see. Okay. Anyway, I want to thank you for the tour, for organizing this tour on behalf of all of us. It's very insightful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You understand more about the hospital.
Oh, definitely.
And understand that a lot of what's said isn't true.
So guys, I hope you like my video tour of the Old Changi Hospital. I want to especially thank Jerome Lim for this opportunity to explore the Old Changi Hospital, and I for one will hope that its history will live on. So that's it for today's vlog, and I will see you all next time. Oh yes, one more thing. Special thanks to Cheryl of SLA letting me film the place. I know that one of the guidelines is actually not to film the place unless you obtain a permit, but shout out to Cheryl from SLA who declined to be on camera for letting me film for my vlog, and yeah, greatly appreciated.